Hey, this is Sporty King, and I'm going to continue my Bed Talk challenge with my Bed Talk challenge poetry. And the Bed Talk, if you're not familiar with it, is BED, created by David Rendell. But what I'll do is each time is I'll give a different or my positive acronym for BED, and then read a corresponding poem. So my BED this talk is the same as the last one. Bravely eclipsing distractions. In my last one, I talked about the book I wrote called I Found Out I'm Dying, A Celebration of Life, and about how there are distractions where we get caught up in the headlines and we miss the subtitles in life. See, the headline is I Found Out I'm Dying. And so the subtitle was A Celebration of Life. Find ways to read the subtitles. And that's what what the book is about and what our lives are really about. Not getting caught up in the distractions right now, the headlines that say gloom and doom, instead of saying, but we've got our best people working on it. So what I wanted to do, if you got a copy of the last poem, I Found That I'm Dying, you definitely want the sister poem to it, which is called I Found Out I'm Living, which I wrote in my sequel to that book. Here's the introduction to that book. The book is actually called Your Name Came to Mind. I wasn't allowed to name it I Found Out I'm Living because my publisher at the time had a book with a similar title. And so he said it's better to come up with a different title. But I do open with that poem. And here's the introduction that walks you into it. In 1995, I wrote I Found Out I'm Dying, A Celebration of Life. It's amazing how many people miss the subtitle, ultimately missing the message. After writing that book, I began a wonderful journey and test of my faith. The challenge of marketing a speaking career based on the use of poetry took me on a roller coaster ride of fear and joy. It was during that ride that I grew and came to the realization of my deep belief in God and myself. That ride took me through chapter 13 and 7 bankruptcies, foreclosure on my house, automobile repossession, used car flashbacks, real estate and income tax trouble. These twists and turns and drops on the roller coaster ride reminded me just how wonderful this gift of life is. They reminded me of just how alive I am, and that we must all recognize and remember that what we most enjoy about the roller coaster is the drop. The deeper, the better. For we are all masters of change. And what you'll find throughout this book is ammunition to connect you with your individual mastery, as my story is inspired by people from different walks of life who helped me stay the path. I found out I'm living. Actually, I've known it for quite some time now, yet only at a surface level. And again, I thank you, God, for yesterday, as much as I do for today. And I ask that you, my friends, join me in recognizing that the challenge of this roller coaster ride called life is even greater when you take responsibility for your actions and self. For as I am able to look at where I was and what I did, it becomes more evident to me who I am. And through that realization, I extend my hand to touch you, actually to feel you. Because in my position as conduit of good spirits, the physicality of our sharing pales in comparison to how and why we must love one another. I found out I'm living. And when I woke up this morning, I praised that vision, that I might be allowed to ride his coattails and see him in my every decision. I sat by the window and took in another breath, for somehow, somewhere, someone else didn't. So I checked my 5 for their alignment with my 6th sense and my ability to experience. While my smile sent a flush of joy to every tip of this temporary body I occupy, and came back in an unspoken word of comfort. I read the word to exercise my soul of fear. I recognize what others call miracles as the blessings that were always there. I found out I'm living. and that I have been since day number one. Yet it was not until I released my physical self that I was really able to give God the glory and thanks for all that I've done. So it really is about recognizing that we're living through this now normal. It's not the new normal, it's the now normal. So as you go about your normal way, your new normal way of living life, enjoy yourself. Find out that you are living and it's going to be okay. Again, if you'd like a copy of the poem, just send me an email to unclesporty@gmail.com and I'll shoot you off a colorful PDF copy. If you got a copy of the last one, I Found That I'm Dying, you definitely want to have this set to complete it. You can also go back into all of my poems, and if there's any poem that you want, just send me an email and I'll send you a copy. Thanks so much for tuning in, and keep your BEDTalk challenge alive, but also keep your spiritual talk alive, because what you say to your spirit makes a difference. Ciao.